Federal criminal defense in Houston. Let's talk the basics first. What is federal criminal defense? When I say federal, I'm referring to the federal government, like when you vote for president of the United States, that person is the chief executive officer of the federal government. That is different from the state government, where the governor, so if you're in Texas, it's Governor Abbott. He's like the chief executive for the state of Texas. It would be the president of the United States for the chief executive of the federal government. Now, the states are supposed to have criminal jurisdiction, but the federal government also has a criminal jurisdiction under certain federal statutes when there's a relation to interstate commerce. That kind of got exploded by the Wickard versus Filburn case, where interstate commerce kind of covers everything now. And suffice to say, these are more serious investigations. They are run by the United States Attorney's Office, the FBI, the DEA, ATF. They are all agencies that can create a federal criminal case. And you have to get indicted by a federal grand jury if they're going to go to trial. You might also get something called a target letter in the mail. But these are very different from state level cases. First, the investigation part is very different. These federal government agencies are going to do a very long and thorough investigation before they contact you. People typically do not get arrested the same day that a crime occurs in a federal case, unless it's a sting operation like a drug deal where there's an undercover DEA agent or something like that. It's going to be a very long investigation. They have a really much more solid case against someone when there's a federal charge than a state prosecutor is likely to have. The prosecutor or the United States attorney may have even consulted with the FBI before they began the investigation. We call these proactive criminal investigations. There's a lot more of those on the federal level than at the state level. The punishment is different too. The states and the state of Texas uses punishment ranges, and a jury or a judge will assess the punishment. In this federal system, only the judge can do the punishment, and they will typically have to stick to a sentencing guideline. And there's different ways to reduce that punishment range based on the sentencing guidelines. And there's different ways for the prosecutor, the U.S. Attorney's Office, to enhance that punishment using those sentencing guidelines. So it's important to have a good understanding of what those things are. One of the ways that is typically used is cooperation with the state or with the federal government in this case. And then also the timing. Things go a little bit faster with federal cases once they are filed, but they can go much more slowly at the beginning of a federal case during the investigation process. All right, let's look at the most common federal criminal cases that there are. Those are going to be drug trafficking charges. And if you look at the United States Code where these are outlined, 21 U.S.C. 841, it says, "It shall be unlawful for any person to knowingly or intentionally manufacture, distribute, or dispense, or possess with the intent to manufacture, distribute, or dispense a controlled substance or a counterfeit controlled substance." So if you were selling something you thought was cocaine, or you wanted people to believe it was cocaine, but it was actually a counterfeit substance, it's going to be just as illegal under 21 U.S.C. 841. This is when people think of a federal investigation, it is typically into some kind of narcotics trafficking. That is the most likely type of case to have an interstate commerce nexus to it that allows the federal government to get involved. But it doesn't have to be something. When you say drug trafficking, sometimes people think bringing it across the border. It could just be that you have possession of a very large quantity of a drug. Typically, the federal government isn't going to get involved unless it's quite a bit. You know, you have state level cases for a kilo or 2 kilos even, and sometimes the federal government doesn't get involved. But if there's an investigation where a few state level cases have been busted for a kilo here or there, and they're trying to go up the chain, then that is where you will see a federal investigation begin. The other most likely charge to get a federal criminal case on you in Houston, Texas, would be conspiracy and attempt. And they will charge these on people who didn't even possess the drugs. They maybe drove someone there, anything like that. And it says any person who attempts or conspires to commit any offense defined in this subchapter, and this is the same subchapter as the possession and trafficking of narcotics, they shall be subject to the same penalties as those prescribed for the offense, the commission of which was the object offense. So basically, what's happening here is they're saying if you conspire with somebody, you arrange, you pay, you help, you assist them commit the offense of delivering or trafficking of drugs or controlled substances under the United States Code, you can be charged with the same level offense. And what the federal prosecutors will like to do is target some lower level individuals, get them to flip, get them to cooperate. Now, this can be a way that your punishment is reduced significantly if you cooperate, and the U.S. Attorney's Office can file a motion telling the judge that you've been cooperative, that you've pled, and you can start to get what we call a downward departure from the regular sentencing ranges. Likely, this happens when the case is so strong on the federal side that there's really only the options that the prosecutors want to give you, and you're sometimes the best thing that your defense attorney is doing is negotiating on your behalf with the state. Now, other times there are problems with evidence. Maybe the search warrant is invalid, so you always want to check, no matter how strong the evidence seems, you want to be in a position where you can check, review that evidence, review the discovery, and see, is there an issue with this case where we can get a great result for our clients. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Remember, all these videos are for educational purposes, and we'll see you next time.